Jewish doctors in the service of kings and nations. A unique contribution to medicine and the destinies of nations. At all times and eras, among many nations and civilizations, Jewish doctors have occupied a special, almost mystical place in the history of medicine. Their knowledge, the art of healing, and deep compassion for the patient have always inspired respect and admiration. In this story, we will look into the distant past, follow the path of Jewish doctors through centuries and countries, and try to understand what their unique ability to heal the souls and bodies of people was, as well as why they were so highly valued by rulers of all times. According to ancient legends, the ability to heal came to Jewish doctors not only through hard work and training, but also as a special gift, a blessing sent from above. In the Jewish tradition, wisdom and care for health were considered part of serving God. The Talmud says, "He who heals becomes a companion of God in his work of preserving life." In Jewish families, children from an early age heard stories about great doctors, Rambam, Moses Maimonides, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Rabbi Shmuel Hayarini, and many others who not only knew herbs and medicines, but also knew how to listen, understand, and empathize with the sufferer. The transfer of knowledge about medicines, diseases, and even nutritional characteristics was part of the family heritage, almost a sacred duty. History has preserved many testimonies that Jewish doctors were personal physicians to the rulers of the most powerful states. In the Middle Ages, when Europe was struggling with epidemics and illnesses, it was to Jewish doctors that monarchs, dukes, and even popes turned for help. In Spain during the Golden Age, outstanding Jewish doctors worked at the court of the Castilian kings. Hasdai ibn Shaprat was not only a doctor, but also an advisor to the king. The kings of France, England, Poland, and the Ottoman Empire trusted their lives to Jewish doctors. Even during times of persecution and expulsion, Jewish doctors were kept at court. Their knowledge saved people from seemingly incurable diseases, and their ability to keep a secret made them indispensable. Often, the fate of entire states depended on the wise advice or medicine prepared by a Jewish doctor. Once, a king suffering from an incurable disease turned to Dr. Levi ben Gershon. The people were already preparing for a tragedy, but a skillful combination of herbs, prayer, and the doctor's support restored the ruler's health, and the country's stability and peace. The uniqueness of Jewish doctors lay in their ability to combine the achievements of different cultures and eras. Studying the works of Greek, Roman, and Arab scholars, Jewish doctors not only translated and preserved knowledge, but also supplemented it with their own discoveries. Moses Maimonides was not only an outstanding physician, but also a philosopher. His medical treatises were studied in all European universities. He said, "Health is a gift that God commands us to take care of, and the doctor is only his servant and guide." Jewish doctors were known for their attention to detail, individual approach to each patient, and ability to see not only the body but also the soul of a person. They recommended combining treatment with medicines with kind words, prayer, and family support. There were legends among the people about secret potions, special ointments, and rare herbs that Jewish doctors used. Their knowledge of antidotes saved from poisons that were so popular in political intrigues at court. At the same time, doctors carefully kept professional secrets and did not sell prescriptions for gold, believing that health is more important than wealth. A special place was occupied by the ethics of the doctor. Jewish doctors treated not only the noble, but also the poor, often free of charge, considering helping one's neighbor to be the main duty. Stories have been preserved in the people's memory of how, at the height of an epidemic, a Jewish doctor was the first to enter the houses of the sick, not fearing infection, and often saved entire cities. It was a time when the world was on the brink of great change, and darkness and light were fighting for the souls of people. Many generations ago, in the midst of these events, our ancestor, a wise healer and Torah scholar, Dr. Burl, one night heard a mysterious rustling outside his window. He went out into the yard and saw a figure shining with a soft, invisible light, an angel whose voice was like the murmur of spring water and the rustling of leaves at the same time. The angel, raising his palm, handed our ancestor a scroll on which was written in gold letters the text of the prayer, Chazak v'ematz. The angel explained that these words carry strength and courage, capable of healing not only the body, but also the spirit. Since then, the prayer has become a family heirloom. It was whispered at the bedside of the sick, recited during important decisions, and passed from mouth to mouth without distorting a single word. Once, during a time of great trials, the plague came to the continent. When illnesses and worries again hung over the house, the prayer shone with an extraordinary light. A young healer from the family, inspired by history, decided to say the entire prayer out loud for the first time in front of a large crowd of sick people who had come to our house for help. Saying, Chazak Ve'emats, she felt a light breeze run through the room, and an invisible but tangible support lay on the shoulders of everyone present. The illnesses retreated, fears dissipated, and confidence and hope reigned in their hearts. Since then, each successor of the family carefully preserved this gift, wrote his chapter in the family chronicle and passed on the prayer to the next generations, believing that behind each word there is not only ancient wisdom, but also a living connection with the angel who once brought light into the dark night, and since then has never left our family. Throughout the centuries, the text of the prayer, Chazak Ve'emats, remained the unshakable core of the medical vocation in our family. In difficult times, when medicines were in short supply and hope seemed illusory, doctors from our family would gather patients under one roof. Before the start of treatment, there would always be a moment of silence, filled with anticipation and faith. Then the senior doctor would recite the words of the prayer, and it seemed as if even the walls began to breathe along with those gathered. Chazak Ve'emats. These words sounded quietly but confidently, like an ancient stream carrying healing power. With each appeal to the prayer, a spark lit up in the eyes of the patients, the trembling of fear subsided, and a wave of calm and hope rolled through the hall. Many said that after these words, a feeling of warmth appeared in their chests, and the diseases seemed to lose their power. Generation after generation, the doctors in our family believed that prayer does not just support the spirit, it becomes a bridge between heaven and earth, between pain and relief. On the most hopeless nights, when the shadows seemed longer than usual, the power of the prayer, Chazak Ve'emats, opened the way to healing. Thanks to it, not only bodies but also hearts recovered, and the house was filled with a quiet confidence that behind these words there was not only the experience of ancestors, but also the invisible support of the light once brought by an angel. In ancient times, when the darkness of diseases enveloped cities and villages, and people lived in fear of illness, my ancestors lived in this world, doctors about whom legends were composed. Their art of healing was known far beyond the borders of their native lands, but these doctors were famous not only for their skillful hands and knowledge, but also for the ancient prayer passed down in our family through many generations. This prayer, Chazak Ve'emats, which means, be strong and courageous, was not just words. It was a living thread that connected the doctor and the patient, instilling hope even in the most difficult cases. They say that when night fell and the moonlight fell on the pages of ancient medical treatises, my ancestors would gather at the head of the sick, hold their hand and pronounce the cherished words, Chazak Ve'emats. The air around was filled with a light glow, as if the disease itself was evaporating. The patients, exhausted by fever and weakness, began to feel a surge of strength, and a fading but hopeful expression appeared on their faces. Legends say that one day an unknown illness came to the city. People lost strength, their appetite disappeared, and medicines did not help. During these days, my ancestors did not leave the hospital for a moment. They said their prayer over and over again, and each time the words Chazak Ve'emats were heard, a quiet sigh of relief was heard somewhere behind the wall. Another person was restored to health. One incident remained in the memory of descendants for life. When a young boy, who had lost faith in recovery, heard the prayer, his eyes filled with light. He smiled for the first time in many weeks and soon completely recovered. Word of the miraculous healing spread throughout the area, and soon people began to turn to doctors not only for treatment of the body, but also for support of the spirit. My ancestors believed, real help comes where knowledge and sincere faith in the power of words are united. The prayer, Chazak Ve'emats, became an integral part of medical practice for them, and for many patients, the bridge that brings them back to life. Over the years, science has stepped forward. New medicines, diagnostic methods, and technologies have appeared. But even today, in our family, we pass on the ancient words, Chazak Ve'emats. When someone close to us is sick, we repeat them, as our ancestors did. And it seems that at that moment an invisible force descends into the room again, filling our hearts with fortitude and courage. Thus, the prayer once pronounced by the doctors of my family continues to help people, to heal not only the body, but also the soul, and to remind, be strong and courageous, because sometimes this is enough to restore health and hope.